this, that our military is stretched thin. The operations in Iraq, the operations in Afghanistan, when you have these extended 9-year operations where you're getting involved in more occupation-style warfare and nation building, that does drain your resources. Ladies and gentlemen, we must understand one simple thing. I spent 2.5 years in southern Afghanistan in Kandahar. Iran is actively participating in operations against our soldiers, being it in Iraq or being it in Afghanistan. And if we do not come to a time when we understand that we're going to have to support some type of hard action against that regime, then we are going to find ourselves in a position where we will have to react and not be proactive and taking away a capability that will bring death and destruction to Israel and also to the greater world. A very interesting thing that was found out just recently. There are direct flights between Tehran and Caracas, Venezuela, passenger airline flights. Except one thing, there are no one flying on those flights, according to some of the passenger manifests in the Republic. This is a critical point. It's a critical decision we have to make. The fact that they call it the Employees Free Choice Act is somewhat of a misnomer. Part of who we are in America is the secret ballot. And right now you see that the union membership is waning in the United States of America. Therefore, they want to have this card check so they can try to bolster up their union membership rolls. Florida is a right-to-work state. And we don't need to see unions come down here and pressure the abilities of our small businesses and our corporations and businesses to grow. So I do not support card check. And being with the Association of Builders and Contractors, that's one of the key things that they have as a tenant. So I don't support the card check because it's so important that we honor that secret ballot and we do not allow these labor unions to come here and threaten what we have as a right-to-work state here in Florida.
Is that unions, people should have the right to join a union, and they should have the right to vote for that, and that's their choice. Businesses should have the right to fight against it and say, hey, listen, we offer our employees a better shot, a better set of benefits, compensation, long-term benefits, and there's no reason to have a union. That's the fair debate that goes back and forth. A lot of people that say, no, unions should not have a right to exist at all. I don't think that's the case. If they can make the case to their employees, that's okay. So my view is that, yes, there should be an opportunity to vote. I think that what we hear in the big debate is that, oh, there's this terrible group of thug union guys that did this terrible thing, and on the other hand, labor guys say, oh, there's these terrible corporate guys who threaten to fire people and everything else. Let's all take a deep breath. I mean, let's just act rationally and common sense and think it through a little bit. There should be a rational, logical, common sense process that if someone wants to organize it, they should have the right to do so, but it should be done under very clear, open, transparent terms. On the other hand, corporations should have the right to fight it off and do whatever they can do to make the case that, hey, you're just paying union wages and various other kinds of things that are just not going to benefit you. We are offering you a better package. A lot of our small businesses, large businesses down here have made a very good case to their employees to say don't do it. So my view is have an open, transparent system, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But the secret ballot idea, I
came out and talked about the fact that he was not for a card check type of policy being implemented in the United States of America. It's so important that we protect that secret ballot. But one of the interesting conversations I had with a Broward County corporate CEO was reference the card check legislation. And he had had a previous conversation with Congressman Klein. And Congressman Klein made a statement to him that he had to support card check because he wanted to have a seat at the table. And that was the thing that turned this CEO against supporting Congressman Klein as he went forward. I think that's one of the critical things we need to understand. Saying certain things behind closed doors and coming out here in front of the American people saying something different. I do not support card check, and I will not support it. And just rounding up people and sending them away. But I do understand one thing. In 1986, a Republican president, President Ronald Reagan, tried to have an amnesty program. But one of the critical things that was supposed to happen in that program was that we secure our borders and enforce our laws. And to this point, we have not done that. I believe in this. I believe that we need to understand that America is a constitutional republic. And if we don't respect the rule of law here, if we don't protect our borders, then we will lose this country. All it takes is for simple, go to the Constitution, to Article 1, Section 8, Article 1, Section 10, to Article 4, Section 4, and also to the 10th Amendment. That lays down the federal government responsibilities for securing our borders and also what the state governments can do to protect their citizens. I think the most important thing is attrition by enforcement. We must enforce our laws. We need to have help down on our borders. Our United States Border Patrol is not properly equipped and needs more training so that we can get out there. Right now you have one Border Patrol agent covering a mile-long sector. That is not how you secure our borders. I think that's what you do first and foremost. We have to set the conditions for our small businesses and companies and corporations here to hire Americans, so that we're not offering that carrot, and so that they are hiring illegals. And that's why I think the E-Verify must be mandatory. I think that also what you need to make sure is that there is some type of cooperative work between the United States Border Patrol and the Department of Defense. Because I think it would be great if we could get soldiers and Marines who have been in Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever, done Border Patrol type of operations, and laterally transfer to the Border Patrol and bring those skill sets there as well. The most important thing is that we have to stand up for who we are as Americans and realize that there may be a path to citizenship later on, but we must have people respect our borders, respect our language, and respect our culture, and that's the most important thing. Right now, along our borders, there is a war going on, ladies and gentlemen. If we don't deal with illegal immigration, it is a multi-headed hydra that affects our national security, it affects our education systems, our healthcare systems, it affects our economy, and it affects our local community.
They were sponsored by family members that weren't burdened on this country. They learned English as their language, so they knew that was a way to get along and advance themselves. They got an education, and they worked hard, and they put all the successive generations to school. I'm excited about that, and I think that's the right thing to do. However, we are a nation of laws, and the first thing we have to do is have border security. We just put hundreds of millions of dollars of more money into making sure more troops and people on the border in Arizona, Texas, and California, where there are thousands of people streaming across. That's unacceptable. That's a matter of national security, not just immigration issues. We don't know who's coming across, and these people could be terrorists or other threats to our country. Number two, people come here for a better life. But what they do is they get hired by employers who are hiring illegal aliens. That's unacceptable. Now, these businesses need to be held accountable and follow the laws of our land. And number three, as to your specific question, I don't support it. He said, no, I don't think there should be a path to citizenship when you break the law. But what we can do is consider, if you did come here illegally, you pay a fine for breaking our laws, you learn English, you go to work, you pay taxes. If you ever break the law in this country while you're here under that status, you're out.
Citizenship. I think the most important thing we have to understand, if you go to the United States Border Patrol website, you see a category there called OTMs. OTM stands for Other Than Mexicans. These are individuals of Middle Eastern descent and also Somalis that Al-Qaeda and Hezbollah are working with the Mexican drug cartels to funnel into our country. That's why illegal immigration is not just about a citizenship issue. It really is about the security of the United States of America. Because in the 21st century battlefield that we have right now, you cannot have an unsecured border. And all you have to do is go back and study history and study what the Romans did in not securing their northern border and see what happened to their country and their empire. So no, I think the most important thing is attrition law enforcement, making E-Verify mandatory, strengthening our border patrol, have better cooperation with the Department of Defense. And let me tell you something, sending 1,200 troops down to the border is really not going to do it. Because when you do battlefield calculus, you're only really sending 600 troops unless those 1,200 are going to stay up for 24 hours a day. And further battlefield calculus will tell you that every soldier that is out there patrolling and fighting, it takes 2 to 3 logistical soldiers to support it. So we've got to make sure we have the right amount down there.
The rest